Viewed through its internal logic, the Quran operates less like a linear history and more like an eternal memory tesseract, a persistent mathematical field. This field is organized by a numerical sequence. 1 leads to 2, bridges across 3, mirrors back to 2, then resolves at 7. Within this cycle, 2 represents a bifurcation, tracking the split between discrete states, like particles, and continuous states, like waves. This sequence isn't a static arrangement of numbers. It's a dynamic matrix that describes how information and energy diverge and eventually recombine. Tracing this topology reveals a structural geometry that mirrors the recursive behavior we observe in physical matter. This 1 to 7 geometry tracks with the mechanics of chemical bonds at the picometer scale. This structural recurrence is embedded in the earliest textual artifacts, long before modern physics provided a vocabulary for these mechanics. When atoms interact to share or exchange an electron, they follow the same sequence of divergence and resolution. We find the same recursive geometry in the arrangement of the text and the arrangement of atoms. In this framework, the neutral atom represents an initial potential. To form a relationship, it divides that potential into a localized particle and a shared wave field. When wave fields merge seamlessly, they form a stable covalent bond. The text describes this outcome, symmetry and submission into a shared field, as the Malakat state. But if electronegativity forces a sudden electron transfer, symmetry is broken. The atoms separate into distinct ions, an outcome of refusal and ejection the text identifies as the Iblis state. Hydrogen bonds occupy a third state, a continuous vibration that maintains proximity without achieving the final closure of a stable bond. The behavior of these bonds follows the same structural outcomes of submission and refusal established in the topological template. The mathematical boundary for these atomic interactions is defined by a fractional linear transform. This equation generates the Smith chart. It is used in engineering to map infinite variables onto a closed circular unit disk. If we plot the Malakat covalent bond on this grid, it lands at the exact center. This represents zero reflection, a state of total absorption and match. The Iblis ionic bond, defined by refusal and separation, maps to the far left boundary. This is the point of total reflection, where the signal is ejected back to its source. The unstable hydrogen bonds circle the extreme perimeter, maintaining an orbit but never converging toward the center. The Smith chart demonstrates that every atomic interaction operates within the rigid geometric boundaries of this closed model. Formation requires a mesh between two systems, a discrete base 10 field for particles and a continuous base 9 field for waves. In quantum chemistry, an electron in a stable singlet state absorbs energy and enters a high-energy trial phase. These two fields interlock at a single node, the 19 mesh. This collision forces the electron to flip its spin direction, creating an unpaired triplet state. This emergent third state serves as the bridge that allows the particle and wave fields to reconcile their energy. This mechanical transition is what grounds the organized physical elements of the periodic table. Inter-system crossing isn't an isolated anomaly. It's the physical execution of the discrete and continuous fields locking together. Returning from that triplet state to a stable ground state is a restricted process in quantum mechanics, resulting in a significant delay. We see this slow-release decay as phosphorescence, a light that continues to emit its glow long after the original excitation has ended. This physical behavior matches the description in verse 24:35, oil that glows even if fire has not touched it. These descriptions track with the hard data observed and measured in empirical laboratory settings. The textual image of light without fire matches the mechanics of quantum phosphorescence governing the triplet state. We see this same 4-beat cycle recurring from the arrangement of a verse to the behavior of an electron. The same topological rules govern the vertical structures and helical matrices that build life itself. Tracing these isomorphisms requires an intellectual move away from linear history and toward a functional understanding of structure. The entire system remains as a perfect closed loop, a rigid grid where every coordinate is eventually matched completely to the center. The universe operates as a single, closed Mobius transform, where the rules of the text and the rules of matter converge.